take this seriously, Dad. I do love you. You're a great father, okay? Bye. Go to school.
Connection still exists, and even though it's not what it was back in January, the people in my life are something that I cannot take for granted.
And it was just like very depressing, and I was like, did I make the wrong choice and stuff?
Damn. This is the final what I've learned for 2020. And this one I'm gonna wanna change it up, okay? This really, I wanna know, what have you learned in 2020, okay? Not just something you picked up in the past week. Give me something that this year has brought to you holistically, okay, guys? 2020, what did I learn this year? I learned that adaptation is one of the most important things that you can embrace, considering I had to figure out how to run my entire business remotely. I had to change sort of the order I was doing things in, the priorities that I was doing things in. And that was huge. The other thing that I learned this year that I think is like huge for me is I learned that I'm a stoic. I didn't even know that this was a thing. It is all about how, core tenet is like the only thing that we really have control over is how we react to things, right? That's basically it. And so you need to accept the world as it is, not as you wish it to be, right? And then realize what you do have power over. John Roberts, what did you learn in 2020?
This year has taught me to appreciate the things that I do have in my life, but I think more importantly, taught me to appreciate, like truly appreciate all the people in my life and how important connection is. Like that real human connection that even though it's different, phones still exist, connection still exists, and even though it's not what it was back in January, the people in my life are something that I cannot take for granted.
There was a day where I started saying, I need to make sure that I tell my parents when I go to school and I walk out the door that I love them because they might not be here when I get back. And I burned this into my everything. And my dad would always laugh, oh, yeah, I get it, man. I'm like, no. You take this seriously, Dad. I do love you. You're a great father, okay? Bye. Go to school, So, because I don't know where that came from, but I feel like this year definitely probably has brought that on a lot of just like everybody starting to kind of get it, right? Thank you so much for sharing. Mr. Brian, tell me, my man, what have you learned in 2020?
Sometimes you have to not take the safest way out. When like COVID was like crazy and everyone's panicking and stuff, I had a very serious conversation with my parents because they wanted me to move back to Taiwan, which is understandable. But I told them, no, I wanted to stay. I told them that this is my only chance to work in the US after graduation, and try and get an actual work visa like in the US. Like if I leave right now, there's a very big chance I won't be able to come back ever, and I want to stay here. It was tough because like I was by myself. I was in my old apartment, which is like very small and just like dark. There's no sunlight. I was quarantining by myself the entire quarantine, not seeing anyone, not even leaving the house, and it was just like very depressing. And I was like, did I make the wrong choice and stuff? Once my work visa started, I had to go find a job, and if I don't find a job in 3 months, I would have to leave. So I kept looking, and I found this job, and then I like this company, I want to work for it, and it worked out pretty well. So if I had just gone the safe way, I wouldn't have learned so much and stuff.
I had no clue, Brian, and I think it's tough. There's no advice to be gained, by the way. If anyone is watching this, there's no recommendation to do that or not. The recommendation is to know yourself, know what you can handle, know what you really want in your life. Because if somebody had different priorities, then the right decision is to go. But he obviously took that risk and decided, I will be sad in this cold ass apartment because what I want is more important than the short-term feelings that I have in this moment. And that is what I applaud. I'm glad you're here, man. Thank you so much for sharing. Damn, Chan, that might have been the deepest you ever got here.
Really?
So, anyways, thank you so much for sharing. Patrick, what has 2020 brought you? What have you learned?
I've grown a little relaxed to hardships. For example, when Corona started, I was faced with the same choice to go home or to stay here and start leasing another apartment because my previous lease just ended. And I said, even though I have, student loans coming up in January, I said, you know what? Sure, I'm going to start leasing an apartment. I'll take like 2-3 months out of my savings that I've saved up like freelancing and working and just put it into living here and continuing to search for work and opportunities. And I don't think that was a financially responsible move. But I think my relaxed attitude about life let me do that because of my past experiences. And it sort of financially bit me in the ass. I think I've been looking at things a little too easily. And 2020 has taught me that.
That is perfect follow-up. What's interesting about what you're saying, Pat, is I think a lot of us have a lot of talent, right? That a lot of us probably had that same thing. You kind of you didn't have to study that hard and you kind of push through. And that usually, it's cool at the time, but it doesn't instill the right values, right? Because you didn't have that adversity. And like I said earlier, adversity breeds success. So this is the first time you're hitting adversity and you're making mistakes and you're realizing, oh shit, I have to work hard for it. Oh my God, I need to slow down and actually think about it for the first time. It matters now too. And again, this is the time because you're young. And so the stakes are very low. So it's super interesting, Pat. I think it's good for you in the long run. Catherine, you're up.
What I learned this year is that you have to apply A+ execution in everything you do when life gives you C+ work.
So good. Thank you.
Yes. This year for me was about reinventing myself. Definitely touching on being adaptable, flexible, and having perseverance. Throughout the year, I had to remind myself that we've gotten through difficult things before and we can get through this. Touching on friends and people and connections being so important. For the last 4 years, I've been making holiday videos. So there's always been a theme, and this year the theme is home for the holidays. I love the holidays because it's a time to reflect and be together no matter what. And even if that is through Zoom. So I managed to find a way to bring everybody together through this video. Just to end it on when you have to apply A+ execution to everything you do when life gives you C+ work. Yeah.
I think it's so lovely what you do, and I'm super, just on the lesson, I'm glad. I'm glad because I will tell you what, I learned that at my first job, what it really is though, it's how do you express yourself to the people that you're working with and for? And that was my biggest problem was the people would know I didn't like it. And how would that make them feel when they care about it, right? When it's an A+ thing for them. We have this skill and talent to help translate these messages. They don't do that. When I realized how disrespectful I was being, and I was so young, thank God, to have that lesson be taught to me, it really did change my perspective, and it made me grateful that I could help people. When you kind of take that perspective, it gets a lot easier, I think, and I'm super, super glad you're picking up on this now. Sophie, take us home. What have you learned in 2020?
So I narrowed it down to 3 things that I think are very interrelated, or 3 kind of terms that I think are really related. They are believing in self, a means to, and compassion. Through this semester and through different times of this, but definitely this semester, I've had the reoccurring anxiety that how am I gonna get all this work done? How am I gonna do this? And then I realized that I'd had that same worry every single year before, and that I'd done it every single time, and that the worry wasn't really motivating me. It was kind of just getting in my way.
Mm-hmm.
And So, and whether or not you can't control if the worry arises. I mean, maybe through practice you can, but what you can do is, or what I could do, is recognize it, accept it, and then not feed into it, and rather kind of reassure and believe, reassure myself, be compassionate to myself, that I could. And so I think this year was, I believed in myself that I had a means to do whatever it was that I wanted. And a lot of that was through building a compassionate relationship with myself.
I mean, the thing that I just want to make sure is important is that you're aware of the tactics. If it is the mental space you're giving yourself, if it is the thinking about it, the stretching and the meditating, if that is something that is working, that is helping you build this level of confidence, that's important, right? There are things you can do. Actual, tactical, real things. Because I think a lot of people ask that question. Oh, how do I get self-confidence? And how do I do this and that? And the thing is, when you say to them, oh, why don't you try meditating? They're like, nah. And then you're like, all right, well, there you go. I gave you something you could actually do, or you could do nothing and keep asking how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I get with things, as you guys know, where I'm like, yo, if there are proven things to do to help you in an area and you're not trying, like I said, the intent is so important, like at least try, right? So super interesting. Thank you so much for sharing, of course. And guys, everybody, that is the last what I've learned for 2020. Let's freaking clap for each other. Thank you. I think you guys have all learned so much this year. Great. Well, 3 days left. Let's freaking, put in the work, do what we love, and then, go off to have an amazing holiday. Thank you all so much, and have a wonderful rest of your year. I will see you for this show again in 2021. Peace, guys.